What are the four principles of communication? That's the question we're tackling today in the Juggernaut Republic. Hey friends, today we're exploring the four basic principles of communication to help guide you up Juggernaut Mountain. When we look at the four principles of communication, the first one is that communication is irreversible. Once it's out there, and you can't take it back. Like once that genie is out of the bottle, there's really no going back. You can't put toothpaste back in the tube. And I know that a lot of you probably, you realize this because you've said things in the past and like, oh, I wish I hadn't said that, or I wish I could take that back, or something like that. It's also the reason why some people are very reticent to say "I love you," because once that's out there in the world, the other person knows it, and you can't take it back. So the first principle is that communication is irreversible. The second is that communication is unrepeatable. Even if the message is the same, there can be lots of different factors that can kind of change what happens in terms of how that message is received, how it's interpreted, what the response is, all those kinds of things. And the comedians get this because they can do back-to-back shows, and like a stand-up comic can do one show and it's amazing, and they kill and everybody is laughing and it's a wonderful show. They take an hour break, new audience comes in, they do the exact same show and they bomb. Like nobody's laughing, everybody hates them, they're getting booed, and it's the exact same set, it's the exact same show. Like what happened in that hour, right? Did the jokes suddenly become unfunny? Well, no. The jokes are just as funny as they always were. The jokes are the jokes. The difference is that, there's a lot of things that are different. The audience is different, and so that communicative event, the performance, the jokes, all those things change because every communicative event is its own thing, and you cannot repeat the same communicative event again. Some people don't get this, and they have like a restaurant they always take their first dates to. It's like their first date restaurant. And what happened probably was at some time in the past, they went on a date to this restaurant and everything went really well. It's like a great first date. And they've internalized, this restaurant is magic. And so they try and take all their dates there to replicate what happened before, that really great date they went on before. But you can't because, again, every event is its own thing. Communication is unrepeatable. The third is that communication is unavoidable. Like, you can do it on purpose. You can send a message on purpose. You can do it on accident. You can send a message on accident. But it's going to happen. You can't not communicate. Like, everything you do sends a message. Sometimes even silence or refusing to communicate is still communication. Like, it's unavoidable. It's going to happen. Think about two friends and they're kind of hanging out, and they're friends and they're laughing, they're joking, and then one of the friends turns to the other and says, "Hey, will you go on a date with me?" And that second friend kind of sits there silently for a moment and says, "I choose not to communicate." You can't do that, right? You could say that, but you can't choose to not communicate, because even saying "I choose not to communicate," is still communication. Like if the second friend sat there in silence and said nothing, that's still communication. So you can do it on purpose, you can do it on accident, but you're going to communicate. It is unavoidable. You can't not communicate. And the fourth principle is that communication has multiple dimensions. And the way that we identify this is we say that there's a content dimension and there's a relational dimension. That content dimension, that's like surface level stuff, like what the words mean, what the discussion is about, or the conversation, or the argument, or whatever it might be. It's that surface level, theoretically, what it's quote unquote about. And then the relational, that's all the underneath stuff. That's what, we might say that's what it's really about. And every message has both a content dimension and it has a relational dimension. So think about two people who are having an argument about somebody didn't unload the dishwasher, right? And so one person is mad at the other because the other person was supposed to unload the dishwasher and they didn't do it, and they're really mad about that. Now, theoretically, they could be mad that the dishes weren't unloaded, of course, but a lot of times when we're having arguments about things like that, about not unloading the dishwasher, it's this underneath stuff, it's this relational stuff that's really going on. So the content level is, you didn't unload the dishwasher. I'm mad about that. But the relational stuff is, I don't feel like you're carrying your own weight. You say you're going to do something and then you don't follow through. You're unreliable, or I feel like I'm doing more chores than you are. All of that kind of underneath stuff. That's the relational messaging. And in the workplace, a lot of that relational messaging, it's still there, but it doesn't get explicitly expressed because we feel like that's what you don't talk about in the workplace. And so if somebody is late with a report and somebody gets really mad about it, it might very well be that, the report needed to be done on time. Of course, that's something. But there's all this other stuff, which is, can I trust you to get your work done on time? Is this the first time it's happened? Are you showing yourself to be unreliable? Like, all of those underneath relational messages exist as well. 4 principles of communication. It's irreversible. Once it's out there, and you can't take it back. It is unrepeatable. Even the same message can be different based off of a lot of factors. It is unavoidable. You can do it on purpose or you can do it on accident, but you can't not communicate. Communication is going to happen, and it has multiple dimensions. There is a content dimension and a relational dimension. That's it. So let's keep the conversation going in the comments section. Which of these principles do you see manifesting the most in your life? Be sure to subscribe and hit the notifications button so that you'll know when we upload new videos. Thank you for allowing me to be your guide through this short stage of Juggernaut Mountain. And until next time, ABC. Always be climbing.